Okay, so hi guys. We decided that we wanted to do something a little different on this channel instead of always doing abandoned buildings and urban exploring and ghost hunting. So this is my own little segment that I'll be doing, which is conspiracy videos, and that's ranging from all kinds of things like MK Ultra, the death of Lee Harvey Oswald, the lost literature of the mayor, the alien autopsy video. I have a lot of things that I want to talk about and a lot of opinions that I have. I really enjoy talking about conspiracies, and I hope you guys will enjoy it too and maybe learn something and be able to tell people you know about it, because you never know, some of this stuff could actually be true. Some of it has been proved to be true, and you'll see that later on as the videos continue. Okay, so the first video that we'll be putting up on this channel is going to be about the Mandela Effect. And I'm sure you've probably heard about it before because it's a really common conspiracy theory that a lot of people know about. But I'm going to share with you the things that I find were strange and completely threw me off, because I remember it completely differently, and maybe you guys will remember some of it as well. For those of you that don't know what the Mandela Effect is, it all started with Nelson Mandela. So a lot of people remember him dying in prison when he was obviously locked up in prison. So it was a bit confusing when he died recently. They were confused because they remember seeing his funeral already, they remember seeing it on the news, and honestly, I completely agree with that. I don't specifically remember seeing the funeral or anything on the TV, but I'm sure they taught us in school that he died in prison. And if you think about it, if you think back to the news before he died recently, when did he ever pop up in it? I don't remember him ever being on BBC News or ever being spoken about until he actually died again. It could be possible, but that's how the Nelson Mandela Effect, the Mandela Effect started. People like to say that you're recreating memories that don't exist, so you're getting confused. But I don't know, it all seems a little bit strange to me. I don't think I could just come up with all these memories that other people agree with, that it being different, and that not be weird. I'm going to start with the first Mandela Effect that really fucked me up for a while. And I had to ask loads of people what they remembered, and everyone said the exact same thing, that they remembered it differently from how it's portrayed now in history. So this is the JFK Assassination, which is one of the most popular assassinations known of all time pretty much. It's when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. He was shot by Harvey Lee Oswald, and everyone remembers there being 4 people in the car. I remember the driver, I think there was security, and then the president and his wife. And I remember her specifically crawling out of the back of the car when he was shot in the head. And there were only 4 people in the car. Well, now they're saying that there was 6. I remember there being 4. I remember in classes we would see pictures and there was always 4 people in the car. Even The Simpsons animated 4 people into the car. How do you explain that? It's still the same. I don't think they would get that wrong. If it's a historic fact, they would know there were 6 people in the car. So this one messed up my brother for a while. That's Morgan, who you sometimes see in the urban exploration videos we do. And it's that Pikachu doesn't have a black tail. He never had the little black bit on the end of his tail that I quite specifically remember him having. His tail is now completely yellow, and a lot of people have noticed this, and a lot of people are saying that in their entire childhood they never noticed that he didn't have the black bit. They specifically remember him having it. People even remember seeing him with that tail, and they have proof on TV shows. I'm going to put some of that proof here now.
Someone has brought this to my attention, that in this particular video, which I took screenshots of, and I'll show you the video in a moment, I found this to be very interesting as possible evidence or proof as to what many of us remember Pikachu's tail looking like. Here's another screenshot.
So how do you explain that all of a sudden he has a black bit on the end of his tail in this specific episode, but not any others? It doesn't really make a lot of sense, unless there was a mistake with the art and they might have just forgotten, you never know. Still, strange. Another one that got me was KitKat. Apparently the dash was never there. It's never been Kit-Kat, which I remember as a kid growing up, when I would buy KitKats from the shop, there was always a dash on the cover, unless I'm completely remembering wrong and it's an illusion, but there was always a dash there, and a lot of people I've asked remember that being there too.
So what I'd like you to do in this little experiment is write down the name as it appears on the label of a KitKat.
Put a hyphen in it.
Right, yeah.
Oh, it could be a hyphen. Yeah, it could be.
It hasn't got a hyphen. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Another one that really got to me is Jaws. I remember in the film the quote being, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," but now it's changed to, "You're gonna need a bigger boat." And my dad is a massive Jaws fan. He has all these collector stuff. He watches the film over and over again, like his most favourite film of all times. I asked him what he thought it was. Originally he said, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," but he changed it to, "You're gonna need a bigger boat," and just assumes that he'd always guessed it was wrong. But I don't know, there's something strange about that. I just feel like that quote was not that.
But you know, given the fact I've heard Barbara Streisand now, I've heard Bruce Springsteen, and a long list of people who swear they're going to leave the country or they just can't stand Donald Trump, I think we're going to need a bigger boat to keep them. You see where I'm going with this?
If I had a penny for every time I heard that.
Okay, so this is probably the most popular Mandela Effect. Forrest Gump. There is a scene in Forrest Gump where he's sitting on a park bench and he's speaking to a nurse, and he tells her life is like a box of chocolates while eating a box of chocolates. And now apparently its life was like a box of chocolates.
You want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
And a lot of people clearly remember, because it's a really, really famous quote, that it was life is like a box of chocolates. A lot of videos online are still showing that it is that quote, and people say that in the books they have, it says life is like a box of chocolates. So I don't know.
They're gonna sit down with a box of chocolates and you're gonna hear what Tom remembers.
Shall we begin?
Indeed, sir.
All right. Mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
People say the Monopoly Man has changed now as well, that he used to have this binocular on his eyes. I don't remember this, but I didn't play Monopoly that much. I guess I've always just imagined him without it, but a lot of people, and a ton of people, are saying that they remember him with the binocular. Queen's song, We Are the Champions, always ended with Of the World. At least that's what people remembered.
No time for losers, as we are the champions.
Of the world.
Does he not do it on the world? I always thought he did it on the world. Doesn't he?
Really should have. That's really rough, man.
But according to the band and a lot of people now and music videos, it never ends with that. But a lot of people are still finding videos online of it saying that. There's even a lyric video that's still on YouTube, and the lyrics say Of the World at the end, but Queen no longer sing it. Here's one that still confuses me to this day, and it's that C-3PO isn't all gold, he has a silver leg. And I wasn't a massive fan of Star Wars, so I didn't really watch it much growing up. I still haven't seen quite a lot of them, as bad as that is, but I clearly remember him being pure gold. I even remember my brother having an action figure and it was fully gold. But there are now pictures of him with the silver leg. I went past a promotion banner in a shop and he was gold with a silver leg. I can't explain it. Even Lego are now making little figures with a silver leg. Apparently it's always been that way. Yet some people have figures that are all pure gold. The Mona Lisa is another spoken about Mandela Effect. People say they always remember her having this moody look. It's in all the books. It was always taught in school that the Mona Lisa never smiled. That's where the name, the Mona Lisa smile, came from. I went to this really posh school. It was a Catholic girls' school, and we learn about this kind of stuff in art. And I always remember her just not smiling, just straight emotion. But now, She has a smile. There is a pure smile on her face, and it's come out of nowhere. I have a lot of theories about this, and one of my favourite that I came up with was perhaps the Mona Lisa painting had been either stolen or destroyed, and they had to cover it up, so they got a replica with a slight smile, so there's a slight difference, and maybe they put that there. A lot of people love the film Silence of the Lambs, so a lot of people remember the quote, "Hello Clarice," as she enters the prison he's being held in. But instead, he says, "Good morning."
Good morning.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling.
A lot of people have shirts that still say "Hello Clarice" that were created by independent companies or the movie companies themselves. There's still clips online of him saying it. Growing up, my parents loved the film Interview with a Vampire, and recently I found out that it's no longer Interview with a Vampire, but Interview with the Vampire.
Elliot Goldenthal for Interview with a Vampire.
Hi, I'm Neil Jordan, and I'm here to introduce Interview with the Vampire, a movie about the saddest vampires you'll ever see.
I wanted Interview with the Vampire to be a departure. I wanted to, first of all, I always thought the vampire was the interesting one.
People still have DVDs that say Interview with a Vampire. There's still books out there with that name. Even in French and German, it translates to A instead of the. People say that maybe people were just getting it confused, and A and the sound quite similar, so although I don't see how you could get A and the confused, but that's just my personal opinion. There was even a moment on one of Conan's talk shows where he stumbled and he didn't know whether to say A or the. There's also another one like this. People remember the popular TV show being Sex in the City, not Sex and the City, but that's also changed too. People still have perfume bottles or merchandise that says Sex in the City. So whether they just changed the name halfway through, I'm unsure. Now, a quote from a really famous movie. That's a really famous quote. Everyone will know this quote. It's in merchandise, it's on t-shirts, it's on posters, it's in films. Like, it's mentioned everywhere in a different way. It has now changed. And that is Star Wars, when Darth Vader announces to Luke that he's his father. He originally said, "Luke, I am your father," but now somehow it has changed to "No, I am your father."
He told me you killed him. No, I am your father.
People still have toys that have voice boxes and they say, "Luke, I'm your father." Even James Earl Jones, Darth Vader himself, says in a video what he read off the script was, "Luke, I am your father."
When I first saw the dialogue that said, "Luke, I am your father," I said to myself, he's lying.
Being raised in Britain, in school we had to learn about Henry VIII and all his different wives and his riches and the paintings that they would have drawn of him. We saw a lot of that in textbooks. So when I found out that in his hand he didn't hold a turkey leg and it was a different item, I was confused because he was notoriously known for being overweight and eating all this turkey. He was rich, he could afford all this food, and I distinctly remember him having that turkey leg in his hand.
Oh dear God, this is not a Renaissance fair, is it? That's in 2 weeks. Henry the Weight problem. Ha!
Disney films are well known, everyone watches them, people enjoy growing up with them, we all remember Disney films. Snow White is a prime example of a Mandela Effect. It's a beloved Disney film, everyone knows it, and everyone remembers the quote being, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" It's always said by kids, it was said in schools to us, we used to read it in books as children, but it's now changed to "Magic mirror on the wall."
What wouldst thou know, my queen?
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
There are clips of it on the internet that is now saying this. People have it on their DVDs saying "Magic mirror on the wall." Yet we also fondly remember as kids it's saying "Mirror, mirror on the wall." It's in films.
Evening. Mirror, mirror on the wall, is this not the most perfect kingdom of them all?
Okay, so this is the last Mandela Effect that I'm going to speak of in this episode, and it is about Judge Judy, which is a really famous show. A lot of people watch it for her quick sarcasm, her wit, and her no fucks given. I remember watching it a lot with my gran, and I always remember her sending people out of the courtroom after, and her slamming down the wooden hammer thing that she had, and I remember the noise, I can still hear it in my head, but apparently she never had the wooden thing. She always slams her hand down on the table.
She owes you $12.75. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $12.75. That's all.
Even my brother says that he remembers that. He doesn't believe in the Mandela Effect, but he still finds that really strange. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the different theories behind what the Mandela Effect is and why this is happening. So the most common one is, like I said before, people just think that we're forgetting things, or we're remembering things that aren't quite right, or we're mishearing. Maybe we're not listening properly and we're getting things confused. I don't see how this could be true though. Like, I can see how it could be, but I don't understand how all these people have the same memory and yet they're being told that it's something different. That doesn't make sense to me. The second theory is that what happened is we are in a parallel universe.
Professor Howard Wiseman from Griffith University in Australia proposed a new idea which allows multiple versions of our universe to exist and even interact with one another on the quantum level. According to Wiseman's interacting world theory, the universe that we experience is one of many worlds that coexist simultaneously, overlapping and occupying the same region of time and space with other realities.
I know it's really far-fetched and a lot of people believe in science and that maybe this possibly can't happen, but just open your mind for a minute and imagine the possibility of us moving realities into a different world where things have been changed slightly. Or it could be the butterfly effect, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this before. The butterfly effect is where someone travels back in time and they change the slightest thing and it changes all of reality. So a lot of things can change because of this. So people believe it's possible that time travelers do exist, because if you think about it, in the future we're going to be able to have this technology to do this anyway, so we're going to be able to go back in time. So what if someone has gone back in time and they've changed the slightest thing, and here we are? People also believe that maybe the world ended and we went to a different universe, or another world was created. I don't know, it's all really strange and it can't really be explained. We can just keep coming up with theories on why this is happening. Maybe we did just mishear, or maybe there is something going on that we're not being told about. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be putting another video up like this next week. We'll be talking about the strangest murders that have ever happened. So make sure to come back to this channel to check that out. If you like this video, then give it a like. You can comment, let me know what you think, what I could change. If you like this series, let me know. There's a lot more coming up on our channel. We've got videos where we return to RAF, the military base that we investigated. We have videos in an old women's house that we recorded where we think we found a decomposing body stain. There's our whole trip back to St. Crispin's, our final trip, where one of my friends might have been possessed by something. And we also visit Highgate Cemetery, one of the biggest graveyards in London. So yeah, subscribe, make sure to like and all that shit, and I'll see you guys soon. Okay, bye.